Hi, my name is John Otero. I'm the site selection coordinator for ACM. We'll be going over the site selection process. How does conference leaders begin the process of site selection? Once the conference leaders submit the preliminary authorization form, the site selection process can begin. I will send out an introduction email to the conference leaders with an updated copy of the meeting requirements document. What is the meeting requirement document and why is it so important? The meeting requirement document is a snapshot of the conference. It is broken down into three sections. Past conference historical data that ACM will update this section via the PAF that was submitted. The middle section consists of the current conference year, date, location, preferred and alternate conference dates. This information is updated by ACM again, or by myself, from the PAF that was submitted, so that should be already pre-populated when you receive the form. Just review it, make sure it's correct and accurate, corresponding to your needs. The last section is your conference agenda, and it is the meeting space needed for the conference. Basically, it's every kind of workshop, tutorial session, general session, things like that that you would need. Why does ACM suggest securing bids from only 3 cities? This will provide you with a primary city, an alternate city, and a backup city potentials for in case your preferred and your alternate city don't have availability. It's not recommended to source more than 3 locations, as this may hinder the response rate of the cities that you have on your form, as they will be hesitant to submit a proposal due to the fact is to what's the potential of the conference coming to my city. What's the meeting history and how does it utilize? The meeting history is important as it provides the bidding properties to submit bids within those close to or within parameters of that of what we have for prior years. What is the room pickup? The room pickup works in conjunction with your contract sleeping room block. This would be the total number of rooms being actualized, booked by your conference attendees. How is the room block determined? Well, ACM uses a rule of thumb that 50% of the conference attendees will stay at the conference hotel. I'll look at that corresponding to past conference history, may adjust it up and down a little, but that's how it's determined. Monitoring the room block, ACM will send a link to the selected property that they will submit pickup reports 10 weeks from the conference arrival dates. This will help us kind of mitigate any potential damages if there's any attrition, so forth, that we then can work with the hotel to lower those blocks and make sure that you're on target. How does ACM work to secure venue and site proposals? ACM works with national sales representatives from the major hotel brands, Marriott, Hilton, Omni. We also utilize Accor, Preferred Hotels. Convention Visitor Bureaus is another area that we utilize. What if you know the venue that you'd like to go to? If you know the venue that you'd like to go to, please provide me with the venue name, contact information. I'll be more than happy to reach out to them directly. The expectation is that all contracts should be reviewed and signed by ACM. We have a strong relationship in the industry, and this provides us leverage to negotiate the best pricing available for the group. What is the proposal process? Well, the proposal process is that once we source the conference to your preferred cities, it takes about 2 weeks from the date that the conference is sourced. This allows for the maximum potential of number of positive responses to come in. What are CVBs and how does ACM interact with them? CVBs are Convention Visitor Bureau in the cities that you're looking to source your conference. We utilize the CVs not only to gain information as to what is happening within the city, such as citywides that would hinder proposals from coming in, but also to reach out to independent locations or independent properties. Not all hotels are of national brands such as Marriott, Hilton, or Hyatt. The proposals are submitted via our proposal submission portal. It's a link that goes out with the RFP that once we source the conference, that the venues will use to submit their proposals. Are the proposals submitted to ACM final? Well, as ACM has been working with many different venues and we have a strong relationship, they are basically not final, but best available pricing. When do conference SIG leaders see the responses and how do they and what they consist of? Basically, I will send out a link once we source the conference to the conference leaders that will actually give you access to our proposal page or proposal portal page, and that would actually provide the conference leaders with real-time data as to what has been submitted. And you can review those proposals and send me any questions you may have. Does ACM make recommendations based on experience and criteria? Recommendations are based on both experience, criteria for the meeting, and then as well, best fit, budget, things like that. Who makes the decision on the site? The final decision actually is the conference leaders. And again, we'll provide you with information about the site, recommendations. Do we feel that you would fit there? Is there potential for growth? Things like that. But ultimately, it's the conference leader's decision to actually make the selection of the site. How do negotiations begin? Once you have selected your top 3 choices, and we look for 3 potential locations. Now that can be in the 3 different cities that you're looking at. That can be all within one city you're looking at, your primary location. But at least this way we have, your primary location, alternate that would be your kind of second best. And then also the third option, in case negotiations don't go well, we can then fall back to those other ones. And looking at negotiating the contract, I'll review the history again as far as the history of the contract, the conference itself, past contracts, and I'll start to negotiate corresponding to what was past years and then current years. What is attrition? And is the conference responsible for all contracted sleeping rooms? Attrition is an allowable slippage of contracted sleeping rooms. Industry standard is about 90%. That's typically what hotels try to get. ACM requests 80% of the contracted rooms would be utilized. So for example, if you're contracting 100 total sleeping rooms with 80% attrition, that means that the group would need to fill or book 80 sleeping rooms to meet the contract obligation. What are expected concessions? Expected concessions basically range between Wi-Fi, complimentary Wi-Fi in the guest rooms, complimentary Wi-Fi in the meeting space, upgrade sleeping rooms, 50% discounted for, sleeping room rates for staff, committee members. I look at past history as far as past conferences, what you had, what we can potentially get, and then I request different concessions for that conference. How does ACM leverage provide outside of the expectations? ACM will be able to assist to mitigate when there's problems or issues that arise due to our leveraging and working with our venues and our hotel partners for so long and with so many conferences. We do have connections or leveraging power with those hotels that we can try to mitigate any potential damages. What is a contract process? Once the negotiations of the contract are completed, the contract will take about, I'd say, 2 weeks to finalize. It's then looking at ACM contract template that is sent out to the hotel. They would review and make any edits and changes that they require, and then I would review that and make my suggestions. We do have a contract template that is highly respected in the community, so we should not have any issues when using our contract template. What is the contract overview sheet? Basically, the contract overview sheet is an exposure memo. It is a snapshot of the contract. It provides the conference leaders with key dates, important terms, and financial obligations within the contract. Is there opportunity to reduce the room block in the event of smaller anticipated attendance? When we negotiate the contract, basically we try to include in there some clauses that will allow us to reduce the room block prior to at certain dates. So this way we don't run into those issues. But with our leveraging power, we can sometimes negotiate with the hotel pre-conference if we see that we're not going to meet the block to hopefully mitigate any potential damages. Again, what ensures the best rate and concessions possible? It's basically ACM's leveraging power. We've worked with many properties, many different venues. We can then power that into getting us as many concessions as possible for the conference itself. ACM is the legal and financial sponsor of the conference, so ACM should be the one signing the contract. Once the contract is signed, I will send to you the fully executed contract. In addition, I'll be getting what's called the conference service manager, and I'll be providing instructions to that individual, which will then start your planning process.